Get ready for a big weekend from Eugenio Suarez as the Detroit Tigers are coming to town.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, welcome in. My name's Stephen Offenbaker. That guy over there, he's Jeff Carr. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. A little bit later on in today's show, we'll get you set for Hall of Fame induction weekend as all the legends of the franchise are in town as they add 4 new members to the Reds Hall of Fame. A little bit later in the show, we're also going to dig into the pitching matchup for the weekend because things kind of favor the Reds in this one because we don't have to face Scooble. That's all you really need to know about this pitching matchup. We're going to talk about that coming up here in just a little bit. But where we are going to begin is by discussing who is poised for a big breakout weekend as the Reds return to Great American Ballpark after a very successful 5-1 road trip, Jeff. And you've put your finger already. You're looking square at Eugenio Suarez, but it's not just because it's the Tigers coming to town, his former team. Gino looks ready to break out a little bit.
Yeah, the man Gino is ready to go boom. We've seen a lot of good stuff from him this season, but it's not been in the power department. It's been in the hit them where they ain't department. And that is not who Eugenio Suarez is, but that is how you keep yourself out of a slump. And I think that we've seen a lot of good contact from Eugenio Suarez, as opposed to what we kind of looked at him and said, this is what we expect from him this year. We expected low batting average, high slugging percentage. Right now, his batting average is right around league average, because when you look at this league as a whole, and again, we talked about this last year, the league average mark for batting average is not 300, folks. It's 240 right now. And it's the same way from last year as it is to this year. Guys are stooping for more power. There's a lot more strikeouts going on around the league. And so for Eugenio Suarez batting 231, that's right around where the league is. And we kind of expected him to be below league average, but much higher in slugging. Right now, he's slugging 363. I think he is poised for a big breakout this weekend. And you're right, it's not like a specific matchup. Like we always remember, and Brandon Phillips, we're going to be celebrating his career this weekend. We always remember when the Reds played Cleveland, Brandon Phillips was going to go off because he just absolutely destroyed Cleveland pitching throughout his entire career. Not really the same way with Gino. Gino, with his career, has played quite a bit against the Tigers, and in 33 career games against the Tigers, he has a 213 batting average. It's not as if he has their number or anything like that. It's just what we have seen from Gino to this point is leading me to believe that we're going to see, I think, no less than one homer. I think we see multiple homers this weekend from Gino.
Oh, look at you calling multiple homers. Yeah, I can see that. I think I looked at the weather forecast and where they are calling for some rain. I think one of the days of this series, they're also saying it's going to be 80 degrees. And we know how the ball travels at GABP when it's nice and warm and sunny number, down there on 80. The river. So yep. Once you get to 80 degrees, that ball starts flying. I could see Gino having a big weekend. I look at his numbers, Jeff, and you're right. He's been hitting them where they ain't, as you say. The other thing he's doing is drawing some walks. He's getting on base right now. His on base percentage is 300. And, that from Gino as the 5 hitter in this lineup has been really, really good. He's been setting the table in the absence of home runs, setting the tables for others to drive him in. He's been getting on base. I think we can look for that to continue. We can look for Gino to have himself a good weekend. I think we'll see, him at least one start at third base. We'll see him as DH the rest of the time. Look for him to be in the lineup all 3 days with the team having an off day on Thursday. Gino's not the only guy, though, that I think is poised for a big breakout in this series, Jeff. You watch how guys have been taking their at-bats and what they've been able to do in the batter's box. And I really, truly believe that Matt McLain is about ready to bust loose. His at-bats have looked more comfortable. He has looked like he is starting to figure it out. There have been flashes. Of the guy that he was in spring training. This is the weekend he puts it all together. Now, he's not been terrible. You look at his numbers overall in the season. Yeah, the batting average is not where you want it to be. It's 200, but the slash line overall is 200, 327, 256. The power is going to come when the hits start to come. I think those two numbers are going to correct themselves, but 327, his on base percentage has been just fine. He has been getting on base. That's going to continue, but I think the hits are going to come. I think the power is going to come. And again, that weather, that Cincinnati warm 80-degree temperature is going to let the ball fly. I think Matt McLain is going to take advantage of that. I think we're going to see a couple big games out of him. I'm not going to call the number of home runs. We are going to see him go yard, but I'm predicting several gap shot doubles out of Matt McLain as he continues to figure it out and drive that baseball at GABP.
I can think of specifically one, but I know that there are multiple points in the Rays series where he got a hold of one and it just got caught by a good defensive play by the Rays outfield. The Rays outfield was really good defensively. I left impressed watching how those guys went about their business.
And that's not an easy outfield to play. That's not an easy outfield to play with the rafters and the catwalks and everything else that goes on. Yeah.
Like it's definitely not. And they know how to defend their home ballpark. And there was one specifically where it was like up against the wall, but Ben Williamson was able to reach up and catch that. Should have been a double. And it was just a really good play that robbed him of extra bases. I think that we will see him. He was a guy I had on my list. It's kind of why I was curious to see who you would say. And I smiled a bit whenever you brought him up. Quite frankly, we've been calling for his breakout since February, and it hadn't happened just yet. So I think that this could be the weekend that we start to see him turn it around, because he is one of those guys, and his batting average on balls in play has creeped up a little bit. It's closer to league average than some of the other guys in this lineup right now. But he is a guy that has been getting unlucky so far this year. And as you mentioned, the on-base percentage, it is so much higher than his batting average right now. There's a gap there that is telling me that the plate discipline is not waned. And when you look at the fact that he's only struck out 24% of the time, it's not as if he is just up there swinging and flailing away and not making any kind of contact. It's just what he has hit has not found grass. And I think that he will start to find grass here very soon. And that's been the interesting part about this, whether it's McLain or Suarez. We talked a lot the last couple of days about South Stewart and Elly de la Cruz. And when you look at those two dudes, they're about combining for 2.5 wins above replacement right now. When you consider the rest of the lineup is negative WAR. So you take those two dudes out and nobody else is doing anything. This is going to be the weekend where we start to see the supporting cast, as it were, really start to support these dudes. Because as we know, as the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, California will tell you, you can't do it all with just two dudes in your lineup, because they had Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout for all those years and they never did anything with them. And so South Stewart and Elly de la Cruz can keep getting theirs, but if no one else is going to support them, this lineup's not going to get to where we think it can go. But that's why we are so optimistic about what this team is doing right now, because they're doing it without the majority of their lineup helping them out at all. And I think we will start to see that turn around as the Tigers come to town this weekend.
Yeah, as we are recording, Jeff, the moves haven't been made yet, but there is at least one transaction coming this weekend, and that is going to be the activation of Jose Trevino. Higgins is going to be sent down to Louisville. They're going to activate Trevino. I think he is slated to catch on Sunday, the way that Terry Francona was talking about this, that the idea was that because they were able to not activate him for that last game in Tampa with the off day, Tyler Stevenson's going to catch the next two. So he's going to catch Friday, going to catch Saturday,
on Wednesday. So yeah.
And Higgins, yeah. So that what they'll do is then activate Jose Trevino for the Sunday getaway day. And then they'll be back in the regular rotation. So by Jose Trevino not making that start in Tampa, it bought him like 4 extra days of rest to get ready to come off the injured list.
That is removing the superpower that is PJ Higgins in the ABS system, because PJ Higgins knows how to work that thing, at least when he's behind the plate. He did miss a challenge whenever he was at bat, but man, when he's catching, he is on with the ABS thing. So hopefully Jose Trevino can channel some of that superpower a little bit here. But yeah, big breakouts from Eugenio Suarez and Matt McLain on deck, because we feel good about the Reds pitching matchups in this series. We'll explain why it feels like the lineup can go, but why the Reds also have the advantage on the mound as well, coming up next. And if you want to get down to Hall of Fame weekend here at Great American Ballpark this weekend, the best way to do that is through Game Time. I use Game Time all the time. Steve uses Game Time all the time, whether it's going to Reds games or any events really around the world, whether you're talking about other sports events, other concerts, things like that. Game Time has it all. The best part about it, though, is they take the guesswork out of buying tickets because they help you see your view from your seat no matter what stadium you're going to. They give you the all-in pricing up front before you ever add the tickets to your cart, so there's no surprise fees, and they send the tickets right to your phone. So you have your phone on you, which who doesn't nowadays? I mean, I take mine everywhere. I've got mine sitting right next to me as we're recording. You have your tickets with you. Download the Game Time app today. Create an account and use the promo code Locked On to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download that app. Use the promo code Locked On. You'll get $20 off your first purchase over at Game Time. Go get your tickets right now on Game Time. Thanks for making Locked On Reds part of your day, your first listen, your second listen, however many listens you make us. We appreciate you. Look, you already make us your team every single day. Now, take it up a notch. Go ad-free and join the Locked On Reds Everydayer Club. Go to lockedonreds.supercast.com to learn more. It's $5 a month, $50 for the whole year. And you can get us ad-free on your audio feed. You can also join a great group chat over on Discord with us and with every other MLB host, every Locked On host, as it were. Check that out today. Link is also in the description of today's episode down below. All right, Steve, when it comes to this weekend series against the Tigers, as we mentioned, the Reds are missing Tariq Skubal. They're missing Casey Mize. Casey Mize is starting to live up to his billing. Remember, he was a really highly touted prospect as he was coming up through the Tigers organization. He just pitched in the Tigers' most recent ball game, so he's not going to be pitching this weekend either. But the guys that they are getting, they are names that everyone will know, but they are not the guys that you remember. Framber Valdez is pitching on Friday. Jack Flaherty is pitching on Sunday, and then on Saturday. And then on Sunday, you have probably heard this rookie's name, Kader Montero. He's pitching pretty well. There's definitely some key things that the Reds lineup can do to get ahead, but it's all going to be about this Reds pitching staff because there's two dudes here at the top of the staff that have not pitched up to their potential just yet. Kind of feels like they've got a chance here to get some good performances in.
You want to talk about players that are poised to break out, poised to do something. Andrew Abbott, from a pitching perspective, has to be at the top of that list. He's just teetering on the edge of getting it together, right? And you watch him pitch, and thus far in the season, he really just has not looked crisp. He has not looked sharp. And the name of the game here is walks. Walks per 9 right now are sitting at 4. He does not have command of the strike zone. And this is a time for him to turn a corner. We can no longer say it's early. We can no longer say, well, the weather, it's cold, it's April, it's going to be warm. He may have to battle the elements a little bit with rain, depending on how that hits Cincinnati over the weekend. But I think Andrew Abbott comes out and has probably his best pitching performance of the year. It's one of those things where I don't need him to come out and overpower the Tigers lineup. I need him to miss barrels. I need him to not issue free passes. And I need him to get back to being closer to that guy he was last season, filling the gap of being an ace of this staff. He has not lived up to that. And I don't know if that's one of those things where we're guilty of setting the expectations too high, because we do that. And by we, I mean everybody in Reds country when we're talking about what we expect from guys. Well, Hunter and Lodolo are down. Andrew Abbott, you're up. You have to go out there and pitch like Hunter Green. No, that's not his game, but his game is better than what it has been. So I look for him to have a big weekend out at GABP, a big start on Friday night. Brady Singer's going on Saturday, Jeff. And you look at his numbers, he's another one that has not been his normal self. Now, Brady Singer has never been a guy that's going to overpower you, that's going to go out there and strike out 12 guys per inning. But he's another guy that really needs to dial it in when it comes to the command and the control. His walks per 9 has been pretty good. He's sitting at 2.7 walks per 9 innings right now. So he's not really issuing the free passes, but he's also just really not fooling anybody either. I think his stuff has not played well in the month of April, And now that he is stretched out a little bit, now that he's going into his 6th start of the season, you look for him to turn that corner as well and just be a little more crisp, to see a little bit more movement on that fastball, to see a little bit more movement with what he's doing, to keep those hitters off balance, because this is the time of year, the weather plays for both teams. And this is the time of year in Cincinnati where you can't make mistakes, because the other team is going to make you pay, and they're going to put that ball into the outfield bleachers. So Brady Singer is going to have to dial in. And you get to that Sunday matchup, Jeff, that's going to be a fun one, because it's the battle of the youth. Rhett Lowder is going for the Reds. I have been so impressed with what Rhett Lowder has done coming off of missing an entire season of baseball for the Reds. They talked about this when he made his first start this season. It had been something like 520 days, somewhere in that neighborhood, 500 plus days since he had made a big league start. And all he's done in his 5 starts, it's a 3.10 ERA. His walks per 9 is at 2.8. He's striking out 5.6 per 9. So he is getting out there. He's getting it done. He's looked really, really good. I look for that to continue. I think this pitching matchup overall favors the Reds over the weekend. If the top 2 guys in the Tigers rotation were going, I'd be a little bit more concerned about how this was going to play out. But I like the way things are falling in the Reds' favor. Both Abbott and Singer can really take advantage of this opportunity to kind of turn a corner, and then Lowder just has to keep on keeping on. And I think the Reds, we keep talking about 2 of 3, 2 of 3, 2 of 3. They've gone out there and done that for us. I think that's what happens. Sweeps are hard. I'd love a sweep for Hall of Fame weekend, but I think 2 of 3 is realistic. If I'm gonna call my shot on this, the Reds win Friday and Sunday.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that the one thing, because Jack Flaherty seems to have a good number on the Reds in his career, like there's a good chance that they have a struggle on Saturday, albeit that's the induction day, and that's going to be the day that I'm at the ballpark. But I could see that being an interest.
That's exactly why.
That's probably why it's going to happen. But when it comes to like the pitching matchups on Friday and Saturday, Framber Valdez is a name that everyone will remember from Houston. This is his first year in Detroit. But the one thing that Framber Valdez just isn't doing right now, he's not really missing bats. His whiff rate and his strikeout rate are super low compared to what they used to be. He's more of a strikeout guy in his career, but that's not been who he is this year. And as of right now, he is in the bottom 20% of the league when it comes to strikeout rate. What he is doing is he's missing barrels, and he's missing barrels, and he's not getting hit very hard. In fact, 54% of the batted balls he's allowing right now, Steve, are on the ground. And so that's going to be an interesting matchup here for the Reds, because it feels like that's how Nick Martinez was able to control them quite a bit, is that they were worried about rolling over on the ball and hitting it on the ground too much. And so they became super selective at the plate. We saw a lot of strikeouts looking against Nick Martinez, especially with Elly de la Cruz. That the 2-seam fastball that Nick Martinez threw just had Elly de la Cruz confounded all day long. And I hope that that's not the same way here with Framber Valdez, that they're too worried about hitting the ball on the ground, and just let's put it in play, see if you can make some damage. Framber Valdez is going to let you do that if you can barrel it up good, but don't worry about that ball on the ground. Like, take those at bats as you can. And then on Sunday, the pitching matchup against Rhett Lowder is Cater Montero. Cater Montero is a very interesting dude, because he is the opposite of Framber Valdez, where he is allowing some hard hit contact, but he's been getting unlucky, or he's been getting lucky with what he has allowed. His BABIP is kind of high, I'm getting everything mixed up when I'm saying this all. His BABIP is low compared to league average, and that should be something that catches up to him. What he doesn't do is he doesn't give up walks. So if he is going to be in the strike zone, be ready for that. The patience at the plate will be very selective this weekend. You can't just keep your bat on your shoulder and expect to take a base. The only guy that's really struggling with walks this year right now for the Tigers is Jack Flaherty. So maybe that's the game where you do kind of keep your bat on your shoulder a little bit, but everybody else is throwing strikes and they're filling up the strike zone, and the Reds are going to need to be ready for that. Guys like Sal Stewart, Dane Myers, who are hitting well with 2 strikes at the moment, should have a nice weekend. But as you look at it, you've got the lefty in Valdez on Friday, so we should see Dane Myers there, but we will see a lot more of TJ Friedl the rest of the weekend, with Flaherty and Montero being righties. So I'm interested to see how this Reds lineup attacks these starting pitchers. I don't think they're getting the tough part of that Tigers rotation and the fact that they're missing Skubal and Mize. And it feels like this is the group that if you're going to win 2 out of 3 against the Tigers pitching staff that is pretty good and their bullpen's pretty good as well, these are the guys you're going to do it against.
Yeah, I think the strategy is, get on the board early, get into the bullpens early, and hope that you can wear them out before the end of the weekend. The thing with the being selective at the plate, it's a fine line, right? Because we want the Reds to work the pitch counts. We want them to chase the starters, but you can't get a lot of those backwards Ks. And I think you're absolutely right. We saw way too many caught looking against Nick Martinez. Can't continue that if you're going to be successful against this.
There's almost too much respect paid for him, I felt like.
Yeah, you've got to be a little bit aggressive when the opportunity presents itself, and I don't think that they capitalized on that. That's something they've got to get better at. I do appreciate that they're more patient at the plate, right? We can't have it both ways. We can't be like, don't strike out, be patient, and then be like, well, don't get caught looking either. It's a very fine line, but I think the Reds are figuring it out, and I think this is a good weekend for them to have an opportunity to kind of turn a corner and get things going. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But you know what else is going to be a lot of fun to watch, Jeff? There's a lot of stuff going on down at the ballpark this weekend. It is Reds Hall of Fame induction weekend. Aaron Harang, Reggie Sanders, that dude, Brandon Phillips, so get the right Brandon this time. And then, of course, sweet Lou Piniella, all going into the Reds Hall of Fame. We're going to get you set for Hall of Fame induction weekend coming up next. Can't watch us here on YouTube. We are available on every single audio podcasting platform pretty much in existence. If you find one we're not on and you need us to be there, send Jeff a message. He can probably make that happen for you. It is also where the Everydayer Club lives, ad-free. Locked On Reds available in the audio feed, $5 a month, $50 a year. The link for that is down in the show description. All right, Jeff, let's talk about the Hall of Fame induction. Great weekend down at the ballpark. It's going to be busy. There's lots of activity, lots of legends, because it's not just the 4 guys going in. All of the legends of the franchise come into town for Hall of Fame induction weekend. You'll see them wandering around the ballpark. You'll see them wandering around downtown. I had Auntie Darlene there one weekend, and we ran into Johnny Bench in an elevator. I thought she was going to lose her mind. There, those kind of things happen on Hall of Fame induction weekend. Lots of happenings downtown.
Yeah, there are some opportunities this weekend, specifically at the Hall of Fame, to really, do a little bit of hero worship, because Friday, depending on when you're listening to this, Friday at 11 a.m. and it goes all the way to noon, you can have a meet and greet with Marty Brenneman and Chris Sabo. And then from 12:30 to 1:30, George Foster and Mario Soto will be there for a meet and greet. And the Hall of Fame says that you can take pictures with them. You just can't, no autographs or anything like that. But they have these meet and greets set up each and every morning. And then when you look at Saturday's meet and greets, that's when the Hall of Fame class gets their red carpet moment, because at the Hall of Fame, again, you can take photos with them, no autographs. 11 a.m. to 12:30, you have Aaron Harang, Brandon Phillips, Sean Casey, Eric Davis, and Tony Perez. So Saturday morning, get down to the Reds Hall of Fame. 1:30 to 3, you have Lou Piniella, Reggie Sanders, Cesar Geronimo, Ken Griffey Sr., and Jose Rijo. And then 3:30 to 4:30, before the game gets going, Bronson Arroyo, Johnny Bench, George Foster, all doing meet and greets there. I mean, seriously, you can literally meet your heroes this weekend. And then Sunday, the meet and greets, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Johnny Bench, Sean Casey, Cesar Geronimo, Ken Griffey Sr., Tony Perez, Jose Rijo, and Chris Sabo. And then noon to 1, Bronson Arroyo, Eric Davis, Mario Soto. So lots of different opportunities to meet and greet with these dudes. But then after the games, at least after the game on Friday, there's a post-game Q&A hosted by Jim Day with Brandon Phillips over at the Reds Hall of Fame. And then, of course, Saturday you have the on-field ceremony and the induction. That actually begins at 6:15 on field at the stadium. So make sure that you show up early. I mean, at this point, if you're going to show up for the Q&A, you're going to be there super early anyway, but make sure you get there early for Saturday. I'm going to be there early on Saturday, make sure that I see this on-field ceremony. I think that and this is the easiest take in the world when it comes to the Reds, but there is no team in Major League Baseball that celebrates its history like the Cincinnati Reds do. They are the top of the league when it comes to this, and Hall of Fame weekend is just a great way for them to flex their muscles.
Yeah, the Reds Hall of Fame is second to none. I do a lot of road trips as everyone knows. And I've been to a lot of stadiums, and nobody else has a Hall of Fame that comes remotely close to what the Reds are doing. When they started this thing, they started it off on the right foot. They did a really great job of putting it together. The exhibits, the things that are actually featured in the Reds Hall of Fame have always been spot on. I think the Reds have done a pretty good job of the guys that they have inducted in, with a few notable exceptions that took a little too long. A couple of those they're writing this very weekend. But you look at that Hall of Fame, and they had Greg Rhodes in there for a long time building that thing out and being the team historian. And he did a tremendous job of putting that together, and they've just continued that work on. Every time I'm in town, I try and get in there at least one time just to see what's different, what's new, and it's always fun to see the same things over again. See the World Series trophies, see the stuff from the Big Red Machine,
the wall of Pete Rose hits,
right?
I love that.
The wall of hits. It's a lot of fun to be in the Reds Hall of Fame. And take advantage of that opportunity, having it right there at a pretty low cost. So if you've never been there, this is the weekend to go do it. It is going to be busy. There's going to be lots of people. There's going to be lots of opportunities for you to, as you say, meet your heroes, meet the guys that have won World Series, have been in championships, that have got it done for the Reds, and just be down around the ballpark on a weekend that's going to be lots and lots of fun.
They note that meet and greets are free with museum admission and available on a first come first serve basis. So, if you want to get in there and meet those dudes, especially on Saturday, man, so many different guys are available to meet all throughout the day. Like I mentioned, 11 a.m. all the way through 4:30 p.m. There's just going to be dudes just rolling in and out. Your heroes are going to be there at the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum. And of course, too, you also got all the awesome merchandise and stuff that you can get there as well. I have heard this from other Locked On hosts, and the most recent one has been one of our Locked On Guardians guys, Justin Latta, that whenever they come down to Cincinnati to visit Great American Ballpark and kind of knock that off their list of different stadiums to go to, they go to the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum, and they realize how inferior their own team's Hall of Fame and Museum really is. And I always think about this too, like in terms of Wrigley Field. Like, you would think of the stadiums that would compete for celebrating the history of their teams, Fenway and Wrigley are the two that I think, though then and of themselves are museums anyway, you kind of figure those two would rival the Reds, and they aren't even close. Like, Wrigley's Hall of Fame for their team is under the left field bleachers in the section, like on the concourse. You walk by it, there it is, voila. Like, I low-key would rate the Marlins Team Hall of Fame above the Cubs. But like, thinking about how the Reds just impress other teams' fans, not just us, like, they rank so much higher than everybody else, and this is going to be the weekend that we see it all happen.
The Cubs Hall of Fame, what is that under the bleachers? Like a goat, a trough urinal, and like
yeah. They sell it, they celebrate, a couple of different players from their history.
We're gonna take some heat now, buddy.
I'm sure. Yeah, there's a couple of Cubs fans that like to get into our comment section. But no, and to be honest with you, I will say, to buoy my criticism of their team Hall of Fame, I was looking at the plaques that they have there in the left field concourse underneath the bleachers. And that is when I had like one of the best baseball experiences ever, where a hot dog vendor walked by, dropped a hot dog that was fully wrapped on the ground. And I picked it up and tried to hand it back to him. And he said, "It's yours." And I got a free hot dog at Wrigley. So,
it doesn't take much to get you excited, does it, Jeff Carr?
Hey, that was a good time.
That is where we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. That's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Reds. Enjoy the weekend down at Great American Ballpark. Have yourself a Hall of Fame experience. If you see Jeff wandering around, make sure you stop and say hi to him, because we always love talking baseball with you folks when we're wandering around the ballpark. For the folks in the audio feed, go check out Locked On MLB. Sully's got you covered over there with Major League Baseball from a national perspective. Former Reds reliever Mike Stanton, not a Reds Hall of Fame member, is over there talking about Major League Baseball from a retired player's perspective. And then MLB Game Night's over there watching every single game, every single night, and telling you what is going on throughout the league alongside the experts of the Locked On Network. They're watching 12 hours of baseball every single single day so that you don't have to unless you just want to. For the video, folks, we're going to send you over to Locked On's first ever 24/7 national YouTube channel where all of the experts of the entire network are talking about 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to keep you informed of all the happenings in the sporting world. We'll be back in your feeds on Monday or sooner if something big happens. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you click that notification bell. Tim Daniel with you all weekend on the Reds Postcast live after each and every Reds game. Finish this. We'll see you guys on Monday to keep you locked on Reds every single day.
I forgot to ask you, did you see that they added Kona Big Wave to 3-2-1 Tuesdays?
Did they really? It is about time.
Yeah.